just kick things off. Are you happy?
Cool. That's it.
Yeah, nice one, mate. So, so yeah, do you want to just give us like just a quick background of like, who you are, what you do, and then we can go from there, Lewis?
Yeah, so I'm Lewis. I'm the founder of Lightbulb Media. We are a creative performance agency. We're based over in Manchester. Been going since around 2018. We basically help brands and people scale online through social media, content, copywriting, and paid advertising. Our business has been 100% through inbound leads since 2018, mainly just from me being a bit of a knob on LinkedIn. But it's working well, so I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to change it.
Yeah, tried and trusted method. That's awesome, mate. How come you got into this field then?
To be honest with you, I started off in sales, or field sales executive, as it was called. It's basically posh for door knocking.
Yeah, I used to do it, mate.
Yeah. I saw that you could start at 11 a.m. So I was like, oh, that sounds good. But then I didn't realize you'd be working till 7 p.m. And it was basically walking around the streets of Salford in the rain, getting told to fuck off on council estates 99 times a day.
Yeah.
And then they used to watch Denzel Washington speeches and hype themselves up and all that, which I thought was weird, but it was like my first job.
Yeah.
And I kind of had the thought like, why are we trying to target everyone? We could just target people that we know are going to be interested in that. And they were like, oh, that's not a winner's attitude. So I got sacked. And then I thought, well, there must be something in this. And then I realized that was marketing, essentially.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I've done that before, but my one of my mates, he actually, I think I've told the story before, but he actually did like the charity ones that you can do that are usually in the news for being scams. And mate, he told me about this guy. So they were selling they were doing like a cancer charity, and they used to do everything you're saying, motivational videos, that kind of stuff. But the guy was bald, right? Like by choice. And he was demoing, like doing the training. He was like, "Hi guys, this is how you do a door-to-door call." So he knocked on someone's door. He's speaking to this little old lady, and going through the pitch, and he's like at the point of the pitch where he's like, yeah. So basically, and he's wearing this little beanie hat because it's the winter, and he goes, yeah. So basically, takes the beanie hat off, and he goes, yeah. Obviously, a lot of people have like leukemia and cancer and stuff, so it's very hard. Yeah, and you do it every call. So I know exactly what you're talking about, but yeah, cool. Nice one. So just sort of like kick things off then. Writing. Obviously, a very, very broad topic, and there's lots of copywriters and marketers out there, especially on LinkedIn as well. It can be quite hard to know where to start. Like when I started on my LinkedIn personal branding journey, like 2.5 years ago, that was the main blocker for me. I was like, LinkedIn's a bit of a weird platform, isn't it? In the sense that it's not like Twitter or Instagram or whatever. It's a professional platform where your boss might be looking at your content. Your clients are on there. People are always scared of losing their clients. So if I've never done it before, people who've listened to this have never written a post ever, where would you recommend they start, and then what sort of journey should they go on?
I think the best thing to do is actually start reading more, because a lot of people, when we speak to them, they struggle with actually inspiration. First of all, they think, what on earth do I write about? And then usually the second step is, well, why is anyone going to care? So actually, what you can write about, it doesn't really matter. I would say if you are scared of like putting it public, writing's a muscle. It gets better the more you practice it. So even if you are literally just making a post that you keep in your notes just to get familiar with writing, whenever you're in a state like that and you think, that's annoyed me today, I'm going to write something about that. It doesn't even have to be relevant to your industry. Just get comfortable with writing consistently, daily, at least something every single day. Because then what you'll do is once you write it, you'll go back to it a couple of days later, and then you kind of subconsciously learn to edit and go, actually, that word could be better, or that could be shorter, or this could be longer. So actually, it's getting comfortable and just getting that practice done. It's kind of like training before a boxing match. You do all the hard work before you get in the ring, and it makes the fight a hell of a lot easier. Sure. So I would say do that. I would say read more. I would say practice without making that public as your first steps. And then from an actual writing perspective, if you're still not ready to actually post something publicly, start with commenting on other people's stuff as well, because then their posts will basically, they've dealt with the idea. You're just giving your 2 cents on the idea. And that's the bit that can get you comfortable with writing online without putting yourself out there and going, these are my thoughts. Actually, I'm just replying to your thoughts, so it's not as much pressure. We found people find that quite comfortable. So they'd be the kind of 3 steps.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I like that. You know, starting with comments. So like there's all these rules of LinkedIn, right? So it'd be great if you could like give some clarity on this, because you know, some people say post every day, some people post Monday, Wednesday, Friday, some people do like one post and just do comments. And then there's obviously like, you know, the type of content, you know, like posting selfies, not posting selfies, that kind of stuff. So like, where do you sit on that then? Like, is there a rule? Is there something that works all the time, or is it just more about, you know, focusing on the quality of content?
What works is good content, ultimately. And for me, copy is the base and the framework of that. But what a lot of people can't give up is the dopamine, which is why the kind of selfie thing kind of got into popularity, because there are a lot more people that will kind of like how you look potentially, which will give you that validation.
Yeah.
But the people who like how you look spend a lot less money than the people who like what you say. So for me, I always say to people, test your copy completely raw, ship it raw with no fancy fandangled carousels or selfies or anything like that, and actually figure out what a really good hook is. And if you start seeing really good views on your post, that usually means that your hook's quite good. If you start seeing some engagement on there, okay, well, I'm sparking conversation, I'm tackling the right topics here. So I would always test that first, and just try and ditch that dopamine to figure out what your audience actually wants. As far as frequency, I think you can do more frequency in the early days, simply because quantity probably does matter there, because you need to actually figure out what works. And the only way, it's no use doing a split test if you're only putting out one post a week. Actually put out 5 posts a week, and then if, you know, 2 of those really banged, do 5 of those the next week, and then see from a granular level, was it the hook, was it the call to action, was it the meat, what was the theme, what was the content pillar. So in the early days, put out as much as you can just to get as much information and data back. And then as you kind of build your audience, build your credibility, you can get that volume down a little bit, because eventually your name should become the hook rather than the content itself, because people know you always post good stuff. So yeah, you have to go quantity in the early stages, and then focus purely on quality once it becomes more strategic later down the line, after you've kind of made an impression and built a relevant audience.
Right. Okay. So with the quantity then, just to sort of further understand this. So is there like a minimum that you need to be posting on LinkedIn a week to like keep things going? Like say, I don't know, say for example, you've been doing it for like a year, you've got an established brand. Do you still need to like be doing at least 2 a week, or you know, could you take a week off and just do comments? Like how does it sort of work?
Yeah, for me personally, putting posts out, I don't think you should be realistically doing any less than 3 a week, to be honest with you.
Okay.
If you do less, or you can't think of anything to say or whatever it may be, you need to then offset that with the increase in the amount of engagement and the comments that you're doing. Essentially, you have to put the hard yards in either way. If you've got something to say, great, bang it out there. But if you aren't, then drop another 20 or 50 comments that day, just because you still need that exposure. And if you know where your audience lives, and someone else is taking the creative element out of it, and they're making the post, and you're giving your 2 cents that show that you know what you're talking about, it's just a way of keeping up your exposure. Because I know we are all slaves to the algorithm, and that if you stop posting for a couple of weeks, you tend to just fucking die off the face of the earth, which isn't ideal. So just that little drip feed keeps you present, and you do kind of have to play into it, and let it know that you do still exist, and that you are relevant, and that you are best mates with all these people, so that when you do post, they see your stuff.
Okay, cool. So, because this is another thing, like I can't remember his name, but there was this guy who was like he has quite a decent personal brand in the sales space, and he was posting like quite often. I think at some point he was treating it like Twitter. He was just doing like 5 a day, but he seemed to be an anomaly in the sense that he was still getting good engagement a lot of the time, whereas you know, especially like the algorithm changes like the last 6-7 months. if you post like more than once a day, the second post seems to do awfully, and then sometimes, I don't know, this is just what I found, but if I was to like, I don't know, this is why I want clarity on it, to be honest. I'm being selfish, on this podcast, but it's like, if you post too often, if you did like 4 posts a day, is your engagement just going to tank then? Like, is it better to just like have that breathing space between posts in terms of like how the algorithm works?
For me personally, yeah, from what I've seen, it will kind of cut it off because it doesn't know which one to push. But I would just say, as common sense, really, I don't think anyone's fucking interested enough to post about 5 things every single day.
Yeah.
There is nothing happening that people need to know about 5 times a day from you. I'm sorry, but there's not. And if people are getting like mass engagement on 5 posts a day, I'd be looking into the quality of that engagement. You can tell if someone's trying to game it or growth hack or use pods or anything like that just by looking at the quality of their comment section.
Yeah.
Look at those people, look at what they're posting. Is it all similar? Does it look like it's from AI? Are they people that would be that person's ideal client? You can tell a hell of a lot just by looking in someone's comment section to see the quality of what they're doing, why they're doing it, and the kind of truth behind it. But the problem is people don't know the red flags to look out for. So we try and kind of raise awareness of that so that people don't get scammed by these people selling the dream.
Yeah, well, we'll get onto engagement pods in a bit because I definitely want to cover that. But so just going back to like actual writing, and like I know you've talked about before, like, writing as you speak, using humor, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Could you talk a little bit about like the actual technical execution of it, like maybe some actionable tips that people can actually use if they're just starting out, and then anything around like the psychology of it as well?
Yeah, so ultimately, this is kind of like one of the universal kind of consistencies of marketing. Everything works in a funnel. Ultimately, if you go out to people now and say, go and buy my stuff, people don't know you. They don't care about who you are. You've not done any work and they're probably not going to buy your stuff. So the first protocol is to cast that net out wide. So you have to do the top funnel stuff. And this is where, forget about what you do for a second and start dealing with universally relatable topics that are massively applicable across multiple industries. Things, like university or parenting or bad bosses or good bosses or whatever it may be, something that everyone can relate to. Because then when everyone relates to it and starts getting involved, you've got a guy in IT commenting here and he's putting you out to his network. You've got someone in HR and he's commenting and he's putting you out to his network. And that is what casts the net really, really wide. So you first and foremost, you just need eyeballs. And then that's what a lot of people are very good at doing. Then it actually gets serious if you actually want to make money from it. So the next step, when you come down to the mid funnel, you have to start disqualifying. So you can put stuff out subtly. We don't do it as subtly, but basically doing like anecdotes and case studies and testimonials where we basically say, look, these are the results we got for this person, social proof. This is why we got the results, because they weren't a dick. They didn't ask stupid questions, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So anyone that's looking at that thinking, I am a dick. I might be a late payer, or I was going to try and do X, Y, Z. It repels those whilst also showing the people that we do want, that we're really very good at what we do. So that's where you build the credibility in the mid stages. So you've got your eyeballs, then you disqualify and make sure you've got the right eyeballs. And then once you've got some credibility, that's when you can then move to push them off the platform, because all that attention is pretty much worthless while it lives on that platform, because you do not own it, you cannot track it. So the goal is to then push them off the platform into, discovery calls through a Calendly, send them into your mailing list, put them into lead magnet flows, send them onto your website, which has got tracking pixels on it. Once they leave that platform and go into something that you own, you can then retarget, track, and do all that stuff for free without having to put the work in to hit those people again. And you can also monitor the level of intent that they have. Because people might think, oh my God, these people love me. And then you try and push them away to something, and then you don't make any sales, and you go, right, well, there's an issue there, because either what I'm selling is shit and nobody wants it, or I've been speaking to completely the wrong people. And I think that's the part that people can't really give up or accept. They just want to keep doing the same thing, and then they're wondering why they're not getting any different results at the bottom end, which is what really matters.
Yeah, I think that's certainly something I've learned over the last sort of year as well. It's like not chasing that dopamine hit of, validation on social media, which is so easy to fall into, because it does feel great when you have a viral post and you're like, oh, I get all this attention, but then you like a week later, no one cares about you again. your notifications are down to 0, and you're like, oh, I actually didn't make any money. Like, oh no, what a waste of time. But so in terms of like the like inbound leads and how you're actually dealing with that, you mentioned like lead magnets and what you actually do. So do you people like Alex Hormozy, for example, talk a lot about lead magnets. Do you recommend people like try and get them on a call straight away, or is it better to then like have them engage your content, then send them the lead magnet, and then contact them like a week later or 2 weeks later, or do you jump straight in, or like what would you recommend?
Completely depends what you're selling. If you are selling something that can be an impulse purchase, so like if you landed on my profile, it'll show you the case studies, or you could book in like a consultancy hour where you can go and pay straight away, or you can get sent to book an appointment, which will then has a lot of pre-qualification questions in to book a discovery call to see if we're going to be the right fit. If you're selling something that is going to be, a full new SaaS product and it's going to cost a company 20 grand, they're probably not going to come and make that impulse purchase. You need to get more touch points in place. So the goal is to get them off and then go, actually, here's a lead magnet for you so you can see what we know what we're talking about. You've then got that data and then you can drip feed over time. You have to zoom out and realize what the customer journey is going to look like, whether it's going to be a 5 touch point journey or a 25 touch point journey. So it's completely dependent on, who you are, what you're selling, what the cost of it is going to be as far as what those routes are. But if you have the time and you're not bothered about your Calendly being filled up, I'd put some pre-qualification questions on the Calendly at all times just to make sure that people do have at least a fucking budget or at least an existing business and they're not going on there just to pick your brains for free. Because otherwise that can get a bit sticky. But yeah, just look at what it is that you're offering, how long that journey is going to be, and then what that kind of route is. But yeah, the ultimate goal is to get them off platforms somehow.
Yeah, awesome. So for those people like who are about to start a personal brand, again, this is something that I fell into. I didn't know what the expectations were, and you see all these gurus saying how you can make £100 million in 25 days by using their writing formula, whatever it is. What can be, I know it's very dependent on the context and the industry and stuff, but like generally what do you see and what should people expect from building a personal brand, from these inbound leads, in terms of like a realistic timeline of making revenue?
Yeah, so I think the realistic timelines is, I would say, don't expect anything in the first 3 months, particularly if you're coming from a standing start, or particularly if you have kind of gone down the wrong path too early and built an audience of people that when you're saying, oh, no one's bought from me, but I've got 50k people, well, you've got the wrong audience then. Let's admit that first and foremost and then deal with that and cull it. Me personally, I didn't make any money until month 8. So like the first couple of months, I was doing what everyone else told me that I should do. I was fucking sharing industry blog posts and going, oh, these are great insights, Timothy. And then I thought, what am I doing here? And then by like month 3 to 6, I'd started actually going, right, fuck it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm at least going to write like I speak and have some fun on here. Started tracking the proper metrics, trying to get people off and just treating it like paid advertising and things like that. Got more strategic and then landed a deal in month 8. And that was all I needed to be like, okay, shit, we're off to the races here. But ultimately, months 1 to 3, you're basically testing. You're testing your content pillars. You're testing the quality of your existing audience. You're connecting with people. You're kind of building that authority and testing what works for what people. And then from months 3 to 6, that's where you can start streamlining, doubling down on what works, getting in front of the right people, starting putting out, social proof testimonials, building that authority within the space. And then you can hopefully start closing them from kind of within that 6-month onward period. But again, like I say, depends what you sell. If they are big outlays, you might not get anything for 9 months, but for most of the people that I've spoken to, it's like a hockey stick growth. It's like slow, a couple, and then that's why we've never had to advertise or anything like that, because from that month 9 period, every single year has just been incrementally more and more and more. So it takes you out of the feast and famine cycle because it's just self-fulfilling. Some people have been watching for 4 months. Some people have been watching for 4 years. And the annoying thing is that you don't really know when they're going to come, but you just know they're going to come because you've done the work and that content's out and it's, still being engaged with and shared and things like that.
Yeah, so there's 2 things actually based on what you just said that I want to ask as well. It's so the ratio of content type, because you mentioned pillars there, right? So what I've seen from most personal branding people I follow is, you've basically got like 3 types of content. You might have more that you use, which would be great to understand as well. But, typically it's like, personal posts, entertainment, and value add. So how do you balance the ratios of those? Like, is there a particular structure? Should you have, because some people just post testimonials, some people just post personal stuff, which isn't selling their product. How do you find that balance? And is there like a formula for it?
So, depending on how often the volume of the posting is, let's say if you're doing 5 posts a week, we'd probably do a 3-1-1. 3 top funnel, mass market, get some eyeballs, pull them back in, get them looking at the profile. 1 mid funnel, look how amazing we are. Here are some hard data results, because that's a beautiful thing as well. Everyone talks an amazing game online. Very less than 5% of people will actually ever show hard data, and you should always quiz them on hard data. So that's why we make that a really, really core part of our content strategy, putting that hard data in and saying, yeah, someone paid this and now we've got that. And then 1 kind of sales post. So yeah, try the 3-1-1 strategy there. Because if you go too hard on the social proof, but you've not done the work higher up the funnel, it doesn't really matter, because you're shouting in an empty room about how amazing you are.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I do there. But obviously, if you're then posting 3 times a week, you could do a 1-1-1 and see how it goes. The goal is to look at the data and see what came out at the other end, and then tweak something higher up the funnel. Because if nothing's coming out at the other end, it's usually because you're targeting the wrong people. You built an audience of the wrong people, so that even if you are selling and showing off amazing results, they're still not going to come through, because they can't buy what you sell, either because they can't afford it, or that they're not the right demographic, or whatever it is.
Okay, cool. So with the just to go back to like the types of posts as well, just so I can understand this. So do you? So you've got obviously your sales post, which is straight up salesy, right? And then you've obviously got your stuff that brings in eyeballs. So can you post like a more generic, I suppose, more entertainment, or like almost jokey post that then generates leads? And also, you're talking obviously a lot about analyzing posts, right? So what are you looking for? Are you mainly looking at the impressions? Are you looking at the amount of people that book meetings? Like what are you looking at in terms of data?
Yeah, I think for the top funnel, entertainment is crucial, or as I like to do, kind of edutainment. It is the thing now. So for me personally, I use humor quite a lot, because whilst people are can be really informative and it's great, I'm not going to remember that because it's fucking boring. And the internet is full of information. So if I can make someone laugh or someone smile or use a visceral metaphor and then drop something in that's actually going to be useful, it really increases the chance that, number 1, they're going to remember that because it was attached to a positive emotion. And then number 2, that positive emotion is attached to me. Therefore, when they think of my name, they think, he makes me laugh. Therefore, I should be front of mind when the time comes that they're going to use us. So that's what I think on the actual types of posts.
Yeah.
And then what was the second bit?
Yes, sorry, I need to stop asking 2 questions at the same time. But the actual analyzing the post, going back to seeing what's working.
Yeah.
What are you looking at? Like impressions, meetings booked?
Yeah, so impressions, I mean, when you actually look at what an impression is, I think it's like, I did a post about it the other week, and it was like half a millisecond it was on someone's page. At least half of the post was on someone's page for 0.3 milliseconds or something. So views, they don't really mean shit. Don't get me wrong, you can't start a funnel without views, but unless they're the right views, it doesn't matter. So when you do see the impressions and you get the breakdown like that, what country are those people in? What position are those people in? What companies do those people work at? Is it actually going in front of the right people as a start? That is like your top level to look at when you're just starting out. Am I getting at least in front of the right people? But for me, it's all about the intent as well. So when the people are engaging on it, what kind of comments are they leaving? That's why if someone leaves like an AI bot comment on one of mine, I'll just block them straight away, because I don't want the incremental pullover from all the shit that they will have in their audience. Because if they're using it, it's likely they connect with other people that are using it. So I don't want them coming over and basically diluting the quality of my audience because I like to make money through content. And I don't care about the dopamine. So making sure that you get rid of those as and when you see them to keep the relevance high. But then a little bit further down from that as well, when you do a really good post, are you noticing your website visits go up? Are you noticing your profile visits go up? When you look at your profile visits, where are those people? Are they the right people? Is there anyone in there that you could go and send a connection to because they work at somewhere that you'd like to work and you want them to see your content more often? So they're analytics further down a little bit as well. So the quality of the engagement, and then look at if you are sending people and you've got signposts for your Calendly link or your website or your lead magnets or whatever, you will then be able to see spikes. If you're hitting the right people and you're passing them through the funnel as it should be, you should see spikes in those stats. And if you've not, there's a hole somewhere that needs plugging. You're either hitting the wrong people or your funnel's broken somewhere else and it's dropping off.
And then in terms of like, how people actually do this, especially people who've never like analyzed data before, can it be as simple as, I don't know, you at the end of the week, you literally spend 10 minutes, you have a spreadsheet and you just have like, I've definitely seen an increase in lead magnets or whatever, or is there a deeper way, a more intelligent way to do it?
Depends how much time you've got. I mean, LinkedIn analytics, they're getting better. They're not where they need to be at the moment. As far as, you'd have to do that manually, looking at your profile viewers and go like, who are these people? A lot of people have got premium now, so they can see all the people that look at their profile and see if they're the right people. So you can do that manually. But yeah, if you wanted to sit down, if you're sending them to your website, for instance, you should have a Google Analytics pixel on there anyway. So you can then look at website visits and see if it spikes and go, actually, when did I post? Okay, the 3rd, the 8th, and the 12th. Okay, well, spike. Okay, this is working. I'm getting the right people going on. But then you look at it and you go, right, well, I've got 500% more people going to the site. Why have I got 0% more conversions? Is there an issue on my site? Are those the right people? So you can dig into the data. You can spend all day digging into the data if you wanted to. But if you're just starting out, don't drive yourself mad. Ultimately, you just need to make sure that you're getting that traffic off site, because it then means at least you're writing engaging posts. Whether they're to the right people or not, that's the next step. But can I hook in an audience and make them take an action and send traffic elsewhere? That's goal number 1. So just break it down into micro goals. Don't try and be the complete package of my funnel's amazing and I do that and it all works. Because you're just gonna quit after 3 months because you're gonna drive yourself nuts.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And another thing I wanted to ask you as well, just like there's this like percentage rule that is chucked around in marketing, which is like the 95-5 rule, which is like, for those who don't know, 95% of your market today are not looking to buy, so only 5% are. So is that true? How does that sort of work?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we work a lot in paid advertising as well, and that's pretty similar. You have to do the hard yards there. People just want to. We just become accustomed to this next day delivery lifestyle with Amazon and Deliveroo. So you want to make a post and make a sale, and it's just not the fucking way things work. You might get very, very lucky, and that might happen, but ultimately you have to be putting the hard yards in. I always say the sales problem you've got now is a marketing problem that you had 6 months ago, but you didn't address. If you haven't got anything, this is why I love inbound, because if stuff does go quiet, you have 6-12 months of residual doing the work there where you've built the reputation and you push people further down, and you should be front of mind. Front of mind is key, because competition's not going to go down. Competition's going to keep going up. So if you're not present and you're not front of mind, people are going to go, I really need that thing now, but I can't remember who that guy's name was because it wasn't impactful or your content wasn't good. So they'll just go to Google and Google it, and then whoever has the best SEO or best ads, they'll probably just choose them. Whereas what you want to become is unquestionably the first choice that people think of when they do need you. And not even then. When they see a friend that's going, does anyone know an XYZ? A graphic designer or someone that does paid ads or whatever. You then have a team of unofficial BDMs going, all I ever see is these guys' sick results. This is my friend. I want my friends to do well, so I'm going to tag this person in. So it's not just them you're waiting for. You're basically empowering them to do your sales for you as well. Yeah. So you need to be constantly present. You can't just come to it like, Oliver Twist when you're ready and go, please, can I have some sales, and do 5 posts and go, it's not working. This stuff doesn't work. No, you just haven't been bothered to put in the fucking work that needs to be done.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So for those then, like, say, for example, someone's just set up a business, they just set up a brand new LinkedIn profile. What's like, I don't know, the first 3 or 4 things that they need to do to get them going? Like, what sort of basic tips could you give them?
First protocol is optimize the profile straight away, because that acts as your mini landing page. That's kind of the funnel that's going to send them off platform, because your content is going to grab curiosity, but ultimately when they get to this page, you need to make sure nice clear profile picture, good headline that basically describes what you do and who you do it for, maybe with a bit of social proof in there, nice banner again that calls it out and maybe drop some social proof in there. You can now have a custom link on there as well, so you can send people to a link tree, you can send people to a Calendly, whatever it may be. Make sure you're making the most of your featured posts as well. So on ours, we've got like, case studies, results. This is how you work with us. You can just book a consultancy call straight away and, jump on like that. So have those signposts ready made. And then on your about section, this is a big one. People talk about themselves on their about section. And whilst that's technically what LinkedIn tell you it's for, when I'm landing on there as a client, I don't give a fuck where you went to school. I don't really care that, you like long walks on the beach. I'm on there looking for a solution to my problems. So you've got to lead customer centric and say, right, if you've landed here, you're probably struggling with bam, bam, bam. You've probably tried A, B, C, but it's not giving you X, Y, Z. That's what all our clients come to us for. We've done this, blah, blah, blah. And then you go into your social proof there. You treat that as a mini landing page. And then you leave your call to action at the bottom as well and tell them what people want. That's the first protocol, because that should be where you're pulling traffic back into before you send them elsewhere. And then on the other side of things is common sense, really, but connect with people that you want to work with. There's a Boolean search feature on LinkedIn where you could literally type in like CEO plus London, and it will show you all the CEOs plus London, CEO plus London plus tech. Okay, here's a list of all those people. Go and connect with those people. And I've found, I don't know if this will change, and I don't like the word hack, but ultimately just the basic ways of how algorithms work is, if I'm going to post something for financial directors in tech, I'm going to create that post, but before I do it, I'm going to go and connect with 20 of those people, because when they accept the connection request, I post it. The algorithm doesn't really know if you're going to be best mates or not yet. So what it will usually do is show you the most recent post and go, oh, you've just connected with this person. Do you like this? And if it's something super relevant to them, they'll go, and then they're in. And we basically told LinkedIn that we're going to be best mates. Yeah. So you can always be a lot more strategic with who you're connecting with when you're posting it, and try and increase your chances of them seeing that post.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So if you've say people are listening who they've got big accounts, so they've got, I don't know, 20,000 plus followers, but they're not generating income. What mistakes have they potentially made, and what can they do to sort of I suppose, turn the tide?
2 things: either your offer, what you're offering, or that journey, or that funnel, that bottom part of the funnel, that conversion is not strong enough. So you're not signposting often enough. You're not showing your case studies and results. Where you're sending them, your website might be a little bit trash and isn't closing people very good. That one's easier to fix. You can really, really nail that down and get that to a fine art and measure the difference that you have there. The other one is that you built an audience of the wrong people. And I know that's shit to hear, because you like all that dopamine and you like telling people you've built a community of people. It's not a community, it's an audience. People don't know the difference. You're speaking to the wrong people. You can have an amazing offer, ready, good to go, bags of social proof, shit hot website, all these signposts going into it. But if you're talking to the wrong people, it doesn't matter. When people say, more followers and more views means more opportunities, I know that person does not fundamentally understand how marketing works. The quality of that audience matters. You are not going to go to Old Trafford, walk out on the pitch and go, I'm getting 70,000 views here, and then start trying to sell Man City's shirts. See how you get on.
Yeah.
The views don't fucking matter if it isn't the right audience. But people don't like it when you say that, because it takes away from the fact that they convince themselves that they've built a community, and that's cool if that's what you want to do, and dopamine's what you're there for. But ultimately, I think they convince themselves that they don't actually want to make sales, but actually they do. But they're not willing to go through and basically admit they were wrong, start calling those people, and start fresh, because that hurts the ego. So I can understand why people do it, but it ain't my problem. You can tell people these things all the time. Whether they want to do it is up to them. But we've got all the results to show that it works.
Yeah, so the removing connection thing is really interesting to me. So, because obviously, look, you can have 20,000 followers on LinkedIn. Your content, you don't get a minimum 20,000 impressions every single post. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's how a lot of people think it works. It's certainly how I thought it worked. So the removing connections thing, what does that actually do then in terms of like how your content is shown? Because I assume, like, I suppose if someone's like connected with you, they're probably following you as well, and then you remove them, but they still follow you. Is that how it works, or like?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a difference on the connection and the follower things as well. Some people just follow you, some people connect and follow. What I tend to prefer to do is use the block button. It sounds harsh, but actually, all I'm bothered about is efficiency. So if someone's coming in and leaving some AI trash comment, I know that they're probably going to be leaving that on other people's pages, or they're connected with other people, or if this person, just simply isn't in my target audience, there is no value to me of keeping that there or keeping that person in the network because it doesn't benefit me, which sounds selfish, but it's actually just efficiency. And if I leave that there, my post is then going out to their network, which is probably full of other people that will do exactly the same thing and they'll just be low value, aren't in my ideal life. And then they're going to start following me, and then they're going to start leaving trash comments, and it puts out to their individual respective networks. And it becomes incrementally harder to stop, and you get more and more and more irrelevant, and your posts, whilst going to more people, go to less and less and less of the right people, because it's all these people leaving AI trash comments, and to the algorithm it just goes, show it to more people like that. And then people go, I'm getting more views and more followers, but there's no business. And I go, yeah, you need to start calling people out. It does sound harsh, but from a revenue per follower ratio, if you are measuring that, which you should be, if you want to make money from your content, it's the most important thing you can do is keep that relevance as high as possible.
So, question for you on that one then, because again, it depends, I suppose, how extreme and how far you want to take this. But say you've got, like, I don't know, 20 mates who you connected with and follow you on LinkedIn. They engage with posts a lot, but they're like so outside of your target market. They're plumbers, right? Yeah, something like that. Would you still recommend you like block them, remove them as well, or like how far do you take that?
Depends, to be honest with you, because you've just got to think not just about the person, but the person's network, because that's what's going to happen when they engage.
Yeah.
So whilst they might be plumbers, they might be connected to people who are family friends that have got this CEO over here of this tech company. So actually, you've got to think about the quality of their network as well, and you can stalk that if you want. If you go to someone's page, you can very, very quickly see kind of the comments that they're leaving and things like that, and the other people that they're engaging with. So it depends how brutal you want to be. For me,
yeah,
I don't really believe people that say they're on there to make friends, because maybe it's just me being a cynic. Everyone's on there to make money, because if you didn't really want to do that, go and fucking buy a diary and write in a diary. Why are you telling people this stuff? It's because you want to cause an action. You want to get something out of it, whether that is dopamine or whether that is money. You need to be honest with yourself about what you want. So if I saw that it was hurting the relevance, yeah, I'd have no problem doing that, because it's a business tool for me, whilst it is a social media network, it's a business tool. So depends what your goals are.
And just again, to further understand how this actually works. So, is there like a limit of like when LinkedIn stops chucking your content out? Because you're saying obviously if you've got the wrong people, so you could have like 50% of your audience is great, relevant, and then 50% isn't. The 50% that isn't engages a lot more than the actual target audience. And say these guys, or girls, they jump on, they engage with your post. It's been checked out to the wrong people. Does LinkedIn then be like? Is there like a stopping point, and then it's getting diluted? Because it's going out to all the wrong people, and then there's like a sort of cut-off point where it stops giving you impressions, and it hasn't given it a chance to go out to the right people.
No, there won't be a cut-off point. There won't be a cut-off point for impressions like that. And the thing is, it's you lose control, because you don't know what percentage of your audience LinkedIn's going to show it to in that first hour, which is basically what decides how well it's going to go. But ultimately, if what you're doing is you check it out in that first hour, all these shit comments come on, they bring other shit people on. the weight of that engagement tells LinkedIn, send next time they post, send it to these people because they engaged on it last time. So what you're then doing is they're bringing in more people, your follower rate is going up, which reduces the chance that actually LinkedIn might pick that 5% that might actually be able to buy from you. And actually, you're just going to increase your chance to send it to more people like that, which is why some people grow audiences, but revenue remains flat.
I see. So you stick a post out, loads of irrelevant people comment and engage, which is lovely for your dopamine, but not actually doing anything for your business. LinkedIn then doesn't show it to the right people and shows it more to the wrong people. Your engagement goes up, which you think it's a good post. When actually these people are never ever going to buy. And then when you do your outreach, you could be getting, I suppose you could be getting like really good engagement for like weeks or months on end with the wrong people, but you think it's doing well, and then you're reaching out to people and you're not getting the benefits of a strong personal brand because these people have just never seen you. Is that what it does?
Yeah, exactly. People do that. They'll build the audience and then think, right, I need to monetize this community, and then they'll create a product or something like that. They'll launch it and go, oh, I made 0 sales of that product because your audience is wrong. Like, you should have tested that before and sent people to make sure that you're actually speaking to the right people. Because, even if the right audience was engaging on it, doesn't necessarily mean they're a buyer. You have to put them through the disqualification process. That's a whole other kettle of fish. Even if you've got the right audience, you still need to work hard to push them through and make sure the offer's right, the positioning's right, your signposting's right. Yeah. But yeah, if you're starting off on the wrong foot, just the way algorithms work, incrementally, you're just making it more and more difficult for yourself. And a lot of people get sucked into this and get sold the dream, and they're sat there and they're happy and they want to be an influencer and they're sat with the thousands of likes, but they're not making any money, which is usually when they start trying to shill something, which is usually, I'll teach you how I get this many likes. And then the pyramid scheme adds another brick. And then that's how the people selling these things, they don't actually make their money from what they're selling you. They make their money from selling you the dream of that idea. So you just got to be very, very wary that you don't end up trapped into one of those pyramid schemes where the only way you can make money is to sell a course on basically the same way you got done over because you were naive.
Yeah. So say you were in a job, you had a strong personal brand in job, you had 10,000 followers in that target market, and then you moved into a completely different selling a SaaS solution, right? Yeah. Would you then recommend that one of the first things you do is start removing those people because they no longer serve your purpose? Because otherwise you're in your new job where you're selling completely different products to a completely different type of person, it just won't be as effective as your last job.
Yeah, if the goal is business, then yeah, because ultimately what will happen otherwise is you'll then post a SaaS thing, and then your other audience it will go out to, they won't engage with it, and LinkedIn will go, oh, this content's trash. So it's not, you're then going to have to work harder to get it in front of anybody. So yeah, whilst it is probably going to be a bit of a manual effort and a bit of a faff, it's probably the best thing you can do to lay that foundation, have a fully clean base to go at.
Yeah. Okay, that's really interesting. So you mentioned it earlier, and it's obviously like a bit of a topic at the moment, the last sort of month or so. Engagement pods. What's that all about?
Yeah, people who weren't hugged enough as a kid, I reckon. Someone put a beautiful comment on one of my posts the other day and was like, it is basically an admittance that you actually don't have anything interesting to say. And I thought that was pretty beautiful. Because you're basically paying people to be your friends. And I don't see a purpose that isn't nefarious from it. Because what you're basically doing is kind of trying to pretend that you're more credible than you are, which is usually so that you can sell a solution to someone who doesn't know better. So, yeah, I understand people have issues. They probably would be better off with therapy rather than trying to get strangers to like their shit graphic that they probably stole from somewhere else. But yeah, it's sad when people fall into it. But you can see it a million miles off if you know what to look for. So the goal is to raise the awareness of it, because I don't like people getting done over by it. And a lot of people do get done over by it because they just believe what's on the surface. But yeah, if you can't work out what the product is being sold, it's usually you.
Yeah, the weird thing I find about it as well is like, it doesn't even seem, in a lot of cases, depending on what you're selling, like if you're selling a personal branding course, And your course is, I can get you loads of engagement, and then you're getting loads of engagement. It's fake engagement, but no one knows that. Then I suppose that would help you. But you don't. I got approached by some like a year ago or so, a year and a half ago, and my first question was, well, if I'm getting loads of likes, because some of my content's good, some of my content's awful. Some of my content gets 100 impressions sometimes. I'm just like, right, I won't do that again. But I need to know that. But if every single post is getting consistently, 100, 1,000, 10,000 likes, how are you ever supposed to do what you're talking about a lot, which obviously very important, the analysis piece? Like, how are you supposed to like actually analyze what's good content? That's what I don't get.
The short answer is you can't. Ultimately, you will never figure out what works and what doesn't work. You'll never actually improve the skills that you do need, like your copywriting or your visual and content creation and things like that. Because everything's going to get 1,500 likes and things like that. So it makes it very, very difficult for you to improve as a person, for your content to improve, and then ultimately that dilution in audience just gets so big that it becomes impossible to basically trim down. You make a rod for your own back. You're then sat there on 350k followers, can't afford rent, but can't admit that you fucked it because the pride, I can't admit this. So it's where do you go from there? And, the only way it is down really. And that's where you do kind of have to flip to start shilling something to shit. I need to make some money from this. Otherwise, I'm banging trouble because I've got all the wrong people here. So what I can do is just put a veil in front of those people and just go 350k or 1,000 likes, and people who don't know enough to question, but who, from where, do they buy? Are they the right people? They'll just go, oh, big numbers must equal credibility. No, sadly not. So yeah, that's why you'll see that kind of influencer arc. They will never get that big and then not start selling something, and if you haven't seen it yet, it's coming.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think they've just handed them out now. So, I don't know much about this either. So, like the top voices thing that you can do.
Yeah.
I saw something on it that you can. I think there's two different categories, but you can sort of game the system, right? So you can like go and comment on trending topics, put nonsense there, just absolutely nonsense. It doesn't even have to be good content, and then they chuck you the badge. Is that worth doing? Is it like what's the point of that?
Me personally, no. I think it's another dopamine play. People think it means authority. It's like, remember the LinkedIn SSI score? Remember that when people thought that had any effect on how much money you could make from the platform? It's I've been ranked at 24.
Great. Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, I remember doing my own, and I was like, oh, my profile's worth £10,000 or something stupid.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and then people think that has any relation to it. So I don't understand the purpose of it. I understand that people want the nice little badges so they can pretend to be more credible than they are. But ultimately, what you're doing is basically creating content for another platform for free, amongst other people that are also contributing to this dross. So, like the quality of that, I mean, if you want your little badge and it makes you feel better, then that's cool. And then there's obviously the other one, which I think is the more legit one. I think they combined. Well, speaking to Leah Turner, who knows a lot more about LinkedIn than I do, the other day, and I think there's been some like combination of the old like creators program and things like that, and the people that were on the creator accelerators and things get a chance. So yeah, it was weird because it used to be like, I think it was just like Bill Gates and Richard Branson's, and then I looked on yesterday and there was like 150 people, and I was like, oh shit, what's going on? But yeah, sadly I can't get one because I've been banned too many times. So
you've been banned?
The audience, yeah. I was banned quite a bit in the early days. They told me I couldn't swear, and I disagreed a few times.
Right.
And then, one time I called someone a nonce. But who's being a nonce? So yeah, I don't think they give any badges to people like me.
Yeah, there certainly seems to be like a certain type of person that gets these kind of things as well. Because I follow some really good creators across different industries, and I'm just like, how's that person recognized as like a top voice, but that person isn't? Because that person steals their content and looks up to this person. So it's a weird one. But on swearing as well, again, that's something that comes up a lot. Like, how far can you, writing as you speak, going back to that, how far can you take that?
Well, I used to write exactly as I spoke, and evidently that was too far.
Mm.
So you have to get a little bit more creative with the metaphors and stuff that you're doing now. So you can't just drop your fucks and buggers and shits anymore. Or sometimes, yeah, they do get taken down.
I saw your post
So
the other
yeah,
day, actually, the crap one. That was quite funny.
yeah, so exactly. So I would have gone the other way, and I would have done the shit method, but it probably would have got pulled. So you've got to be a little bit more careful now. It's weird, really, because we're a bunch of fucking grown adults on the internet, and if a word, which is just a word, really offends your sensibilities, then you probably need to go and see a doctor, or get some hobbies, or get laid. But this is the life we live, and at the moment, it's still run by your old boomers. Once they die or retire and stop paying LinkedIn all that wedge, you'll probably start seeing more people move over towards a millennial point of view when they become the biggest revenue driver, ad revenue driver, and giving them what they want. And then eventually your Gen Zs, and it'll just pass through. I think at the minute they don't really know who they are. LinkedIn, they're trying to service your old school people, but they're also trying to be like hip and cool and hit quotas, but it's not coming off great. They're releasing things like these AI articles that nobody wanted, nobody asked for, that don't help anybody. It's like, bro, just give me the ability to fucking pin things in my inbox. That's what people want. Let me pin comments on posts. That's what people want. We had it. You fucking got rid of it. Like, they're just not very good at listening to their audience. They're just a bit confused at the minute. But I don't want to say too much because I'll probably get banned again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I've always found it weird as well. Like, I've always found it strange, or like, because I've only been using LinkedIn for the last 8 years, 8 years really. When I got into recruitment, before that, I just saw it as this like boring social media platform, really, that I had no interest in going on.
Yeah.
And I always found it strange how, like, when you're connecting with people, because my understanding is the connection limit used to be like basically unlimited, and then they've slowly like strangled it over the years, and now it's down to 100 a week. But I always found it strange that it's a networking event, a networking platform that encourages you to only interact with people that you know. Like, I don't get that.
No, it is very confusing, to be honest with you. I mean, to be fair, I know I'm a bit of a misanthrope, and I'm not a big fan of people anyway. But I think, do you really want to be connected to more than 30,000 people? Do you really know 30,000 people? Have you really got 30,000 ideal clients? Probably not, if we're being realistic about it. Which is, I think, why they've made the developments to followers. You don't have to. You can just follow. You don't have to, connect and follow. It just plays to that dopamine game that Instagram played, until they realised that they've basically eviscerated the mental health of a generation, and then started having to hide the like numbers and things, because people were basically judging the quality of the content based on the amount of likes that it had, regardless of whether they were real. So yeah, it's a whole different kettle of fish, and it is a poison in itself if you don't know how to use it, how to navigate it, what red flags to look out for, what's real, what's not. So yeah, I just try my best to try and spread a little bit of truth where I can, which I know some people don't like, but don't care.
Last question, mate. Just to finish on this, because obviously it's what everyone's talking about. Where do you see personal branding, social media, and copywriting going? With AI, ChatGPT, everything that's coming out, and we'll probably see exponential growth around this over the next year or two. Where do you see like the next few years going?
Yeah, I think it's unavoidable that you're going to have to use it. It's just about how you use it. People are actually using it as a tool now and basically pulling it straight off and plugging it into things, which is not necessarily great. Number one, because the copy itself is trash and sounds like it was written in like a GCSE history exam with you. Therefore, let's elevate your dynamic. And it's like, it's not good yet. Don't get me wrong, in 3-4 years, it might be amazing. Grok, the Twitter one, is much better, much funnier, got more personality. So that's quite cool. I think being used as like a fact checker, it's still throwing out things that aren't necessarily true, so can be a bit dangerous. And I don't know enough about SEO, but on the kind of duplicate content side of things, if everyone's putting in the same prompts and getting the same information and put it on the website, you should, at some point, you're probably going to start getting penalized for duplicate content, across hundreds and hundreds of sites. So it's interesting. I think it will get more skilled. I think on the image creation side, leaps and bounds. Like, it's insane, some of the stuff now with your Mid Journeys and your other ones that are coming up. So I think it's going to make ad creative a lot better. Even as far as like generative expansions of imagery and things like that. You know, when you're trying to reformat stuff, and you're like, oh, it's that was landscape, and it just goes, here's an extension
there's that
for it.
TikTok trend, isn't there, where it's like it zooms out and then zooms out and zooms out
I've seen the
again.
Michael Jackson one. It's amazing.
I haven't seen that one.
Where he's just lying on the couch for like a Thriller or something, and it comes out and he's like getting his nails done and things like that. It is good. It is good from a creative point of view. I think it will get better. I think people are hedging their hats on it right now because, you know, when there's blood in the water, sharks will circle. When there's a new thing and people don't really understand it, that's the best time to basically part stupid people with their money, because you can then go position yourself. Here's a big scary thing. I don't really know it, but you don't need to know that I don't know it. I just know a bit more than you. So I'm going to take your money now whilst, you know, you're panicking all about it. So I don't think anyone needs to panic just yet. I mean, it will probably wipe out the shit copywriters, which is a good thing, but I see it's a good thing because it means that we can up our prices, because if everyone else is using ChatGPT, we're going to look amazing. So we can charge for that privilege of basically setting people apart. So I see it as a really, really good thing for the copywriting industry personally. And I think from the design side, it's going to help ad creative and like branding, inspo and mood boards and things like that massively.
Yeah. Oh, awesome, mate. Well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, mate. It's like so much value in this. And yeah, hopefully everyone that's listening, especially people who are like just getting started or not sure what route to take, will take massive value. If people want to work with you or just want to chat with you, like what do they need to do?
Yeah, so you can follow me on LinkedIn if you want, Lewis Kemp, or you can go to the website, lightbulbmedia.co.uk, or go to our Instagram, lightbulbmedia UK. Plenty of signposting on there. You can look at results, you can look at the content we do, things like that. And then, yeah, just reach out with what you need.
Awesome. I'll put the links in the bio and the description and everything as well, so it'll be easy to find. But yeah, mate, thanks so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate it.